What are some key things that you would tell someone to, help stop the scroll ultimately and make good videos?
It's just like something, because like when you're scrolling on your phone, everybody's on one of these right here. When you're scrolling on your phone, this is about the speed that people do it. It's just scroll, scroll, scroll. And you need something that's like, what the crap? And it just makes you stop for a second. That's all you need. Someone just to stop for a second, because they're like, what? And they keep watching. And like, if it's for them, like they'll keep watching. If it's not for them, they'll scroll right on by. You just got to do something that's like kind of flashy. Like, here we go. Like, this is really good. Like, if you're a total beginner, you've never done anything like this, doing something like this in the beginning of your video where you take a lighter and you're just like, hey, like that's enough of a pattern interrupt to get somebody to stop. Like, what's this guy doing? Yeah, it's just things that aren't part of the norm that you kind of want to do in the first few seconds.
I love it. Welcome to Business Insights with Matt Milia. I'm your host, Matt Milia, and in this podcast, we'll talk about the real, raw, uncut business success secrets you won't find anywhere else. Follow my journey from entry level to CEO. We discuss real actionable items you can plug into your business right away. To subscribe to our weekly top tips, you can go to www.mattpodcast.com and join our community of elite high-level performers. And if you're interested in our inside sales company, you can go to www.appointmentstoday.com to jump on a free strategy call. And now, stay tuned for our podcast. Are you spending tens of thousands of dollars on leads only to get back tens? Are you sick and tired of telling your agents to follow up on leads only to find out that they don't have enough time to do it effectively? Here at Appointments Today, we believe that lead generation and appointment setting should be easy. And that's why I put together this video that'll explain to you the 9 reasons why you should hire a virtual ISA now. Click on the link below to learn how you can immediately turn your ice cold leads into red hot appointments today.
All right. What's up, everybody? I wanted to first and foremost share that with all of you guys. That was Mr. Chris Stone's work, and that video definitely had a ton of just a lot of things in there, a lot of value, a lot of things to stop the scroll. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. But first and foremost, I want to welcome everybody to episode number 17 of Business Insights with Matt Milia. And I've got Mr. Chris Stone on. And Chris, why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So obviously my name's Chris Stone. I'm the founder and director of a company called Stonecraft Media. That idea came to me around the beginning of 2017 when I was really thinking about, like, do I really want to work for someone else the rest of my life until I retire and do the whole like traditional, being a good employee type thing? And I went to college, got a Bachelor of Science in Music Production. And at first, like, I was really doing a lot of music things for most of my life. But something amazing happened in 2016. And this is why I started thinking differently in 2017. And in 2016, I met some people. Their children were taken by the state of Kansas, and just everything in the backstory of like what happened didn't really add up to me, So I kind of agreed with these parents, like, this is wrong, and they were doing the dad was doing a hunger strike on the state capitol steps, and Facebook Live just came out in 2016. Wow. And I was just like, like, I know you guys don't need money, but you need people to like be aware, because their ultimatum was like, give us our children or we'll stop the hunger strike. We'll, stop giving press releases, bad press to your government, or, some lawyer come in and pro bono file a federal lawsuit. So that was the two ways they were going to quit. And I was like, okay, well, if we get enough people to hear your message, then like you can connect with the right people to help, right? So we just started going live every day, and I would like take off from work, and on my lunch break I'd go down to the Capitol and do my thing. Eventually what happened was the story went international. It got picked up by international news outlets, got picked up by Vice Media. None of this I planned at all.
Right.
But it's just the power of video and like authentic storytelling really is what it came down to. And 2 years later, they got their children back, and they're all together now. So, but it was a long fight. But I lived through the power of video. I saw what it could do for just anybody, a family. And in 2017, I was working for Apple, and I was just like, what can I do to help businesses? Like, because I want to start a business, but this little Post-it note has been on either a speaker next to my computer or on my computer. It says, what problem do I want to solve? This thing is pretty much how I look at life. It gives me purpose. I'm a problem solver, and I will do whatever it takes to help somebody figure out the solution to a problem. And nowadays, I pretty much focus on helping businesses leverage the power of video to help them grow, scale, streamline business processes, and ultimately make the world, better served through video. So
I love it. And it's funny because looking back at even when you started consulting with us in our videos, we had amazing organic videos. We had a really good educational platform, but one of the things that we were missing was that entertainment factor. What was it that was going to stop the scroll? How are we going to stop the scroll? That was really my biggest obstacle. And watching you put that together, it was funny because I remember we were all at the mastermind together, and Kristen was sitting on the couch, and that violin music starts playing, and she's like, "Oh, that's great music, more comical than anything, but great music." And I'm like, why does it have to be? Why shouldn't it be? Play something sad in the beginning, and then all of a sudden you got the little scratch, the upward beat, everyone's happy, there's motion going in. And that's because here's the thing, anybody can shoot video, but to turn video into that creative side of it and the educational side, I mean, that's where the magic happens. So, but not everybody, of course, has the skill set for the magic. With that being said, if I'm brand new entrepreneur, brand new to the business, how do I make that magic? What are some key things that you would tell someone to help stop the scroll ultimately and make good videos? What are some good takeaways you can give to people?
That's a good question. So it really comes down to psychology. At least that's what I believe. And with anything creative, if you can sort of reverse engineer what you're going for, then I think that when you actually start to do something, you're very clear on the whole path from start to finish, because you conceptually started at the end and worked your way backwards. So when it comes to scroll stopping, really, like, we all get marketed to, we all see video ads everywhere, TV, internet, everywhere. So I think a good way to approach it is to like just observe for a second, like, what is everyone doing? And if everyone's sort of doing the same thing, a question is like, okay, how do I show up differently? You know what I mean? Because I don't want to get like too technical in the editing, because it's really more than just editing. But it's like, like let's take your ad, for example. Your whole thing was like, how much is it costing you to spend to generate leads for your business? And then when we were sitting down to, come up with a concept of this ad, you mentioned you had a money gun. And I was like, okay, so for a pattern interrupt, what would look good in this ad? And I was like, wow, well, why don't we just shoot you trying to catch the money.
Right.
And then we'll use that as the pattern interrupt. So it's just something, because when you're scrolling on your phone, everybody's on one of these right here. When you're scrolling on your phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is about the speed that people do it. It's just scroll, scroll, scroll. And you need something that's what the crap? And it just makes you stop for a second. That's all that's all you need.
Yep.
Someone just to stop for a second, because they're like, what? And they keep watching. And if it's for them, they'll keep watching. If it's not for them, they'll scroll right on by, which is a whole other topic of polarization. But you just got to do something that's kind of flashy. So here we go. This is really good. If you're a total beginner, you've never done anything like this, doing something like this in the beginning of your video, where you take a lighter and you're just like, hey, 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 hey. That's enough of a pattern interrupt to get somebody to stop. What's this guy doing? So yeah, it's just things that aren't part of the norm that you kind of want to do in the first few seconds.
I love it. Love it. So Kristen, something too, you guys both were from Billie Jean, but also a lot of, Russell Brunson takeaways, some things and you actually, the cool thing is Chris actually coaches with the same people that shoot the videos for ClickFunnels, which is pretty awesome, because if you saw their ad videos are amazing. And that was the one thing I always looked at. I said, how do these guys make these videos actually entertaining, engaging, educational, but at the same time, they also make it so that people want to stop, they want to watch, and they want to consume it, because it's easy to get someone to stop, but then to get them to stay engaged long enough to want to see what goes on until the very end, that's where the magic happens. And I know we can get into the real technical parts of that. We won't go too deep into that, because this could be a 10-hour long video, and
right,
we won't go that long. But Kristen, I know you had a question that you wanted to throw in there. Oh, we've lost Kristen's audio. Can you hear? Oh, there we go. Now we can hear you.
In the beginning, I think.
There you go.
So, Chris, what I get from a lot of people, like realtors that I talk to, when I say, hey, go live. If you really want to start to create omnipresence in your market, go live. And they always, a lot of them will tell me, well, I'm just so afraid of the way I look on camera. That's a biggie. People have a fear of it. They're, self-conscious about things. What would you say to someone, I'm sure you've had someone that has hired you to do these, right? What is good advice for you to get someone that doesn't have stage fright again on video and make them look natural and easygoing? What would you recommend?
Outside, really, I would say good, like that's normal, but it's not about you anyways.
Right.
Right.
And people see your face every day anyways. So, right. I mean,
yeah, like you just have to think for a second, like why are you in business? Why are you, helping people? I mean, are you helping people, or are you just in it just to take people's money and run? I mean, so
right.
I believe there's more people like generally trying to help people. And if you're trying to help people, like your own perception of yourself is, I forget exactly what the saying is or what the quote is, but something, this topic reminds me of something someone once said to me, and that is, if there's 1,000 people that have like seen you and like kind of, met you or whatever, or at least know you exist, that means there's 1,000 different versions of you in the world, and they all exist in these people's heads. And then you have your own. Okay. So perception is like not quite what it is. You can't control really what other people think of you. So when it comes to getting on camera, like if you're all self-centered and worried about how you look, I mean, to an extent, I can understand that. But if you dress nice and, you're done up for the day or whatever, like as soon as a camera's in front of you, like it's no different than a person. You can't help other people if you have your own self-limiting beliefs. Just think about that for a second. Like if you are on a mission to help other people, you've really got to have this warrior mentality of like, okay, like this is not about me. This is about something much bigger than myself. Let's just go.
It's huge. And
does it
have to be perfect?
No.
No.
Because none of us are perfect. I mean, you could strive to be perfect, like more power to you, but perfection is actually a success killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I couldn't have said that better.
A mediocre video is still better than no video.
Yeah.
And I think people admire other people for going live or doing whatever. It's still better. It's still going to stop the scroll more than having nothing at all or just having a picture.
My shitty video will outperform your no video every single time. That is the mantra.
Time. Yep.
Yeah.
Because
I agree with that.
And go ahead, Chris. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine. Like just like one is better than zero.
Yes, so true. And it's amazing because a lot of times people will say too, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what I should, what are the topics? What should I go through? Would you kind of, Chris, talk a little bit about, and I know this is one of the things that inside and out, that whole three, usually there's a format to this, and kind of give everyone that secret sauce, so to speak, that format where when you first start the video, there should be something that you're doing, something that you're identifying. You know what I'm talking about? Three things.
You might want to elaborate for me. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. The Billie Jean approach. Like, hey, today we're going to shoot this video. And I'll just go through it today. And I know you know this because you literally told me this. When you first start off, you have to have, what is the problem that we're solving? What is it that we are going to, who is our target audience? Who are we talking to? So it doesn't matter who it is. Hey, local restaurant owners. Hey, like you basically identify the audience. Are these three things happening to you? Are you getting bad reviews on Google because they don't like the food for your new sous chef? Are you not getting enough foot traffic because no one's heard of you? And are you, and the people that are coming in are not willing to pay the top of the line prices? Well, I have a solution for you. You go through those three topics and then give the solution. That's something that it's funny because I can tell people this is what you should do. And then when I had Chris in there, I'm like, well, I don't know what my three challenges are. He's like, this is pretty basic. I mean, and we started going through like, oh yeah, those are the challenges. That makes a whole lot of sense. So having Chris, sometimes you can't see your own blind spots.
No, I mean, absolutely. Yeah. Think about it like this, like, that I like to say that a lot actually, because even, I'll be a little transparent here, even in my own business, like I have my own blind spots, and it helps to like ask people like you, clients that I've worked with, and just other people in my network, like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, do you see what I see here? And I have to get that validation sometimes, but I think that's just part of being human.
Yep, so true. So in your opinion, Chris, I'm a brand new business owner. No one's ever heard of me. No one knows my name. I'm trying to break into a new marketplace. What are some tips that you would maybe give to someone who wants to use video to start to just become more well-known? What are some actionable items you think that someone could do to become more well-known?
Sure. So if you've never made a video, you've never gone online, in respect to like you and your business, or just your profession, like you don't have to own a business to do video. Like if you're a salesperson, like you should totally have your own like personal brand and start, building up your own little network. But really it's I think the best thing to do, make sure, and this is going to get a little technical, but in terms of video, if there's really good audio and you can hear everything really clear, you understand it, and it's not all garbled and staticky, the picture quality comes second, right? You could have a really good picture, but if there's no sound or it's really garbled, like it just, you pick that up way more than the picture quality. And it's like, I can't understand what you're saying.
Right.
So these, like, yeah, I would say, you know, if you're starting into video, even if you've already been doing video, these little things right here, this is a Rode Wireless Go. And there's actually two of them. The receiver's over here, hooked up so you can hear me. This has a built-in microphone right there. And, you know, both of them have a little clip. Just pop that on your shirt and you're good to go. And you can hear me. These allow you to plug in like an actual lav mic and, you know, have it kind of concealed a little bit. But, you know, just this system alone is less than $200. It's not that expensive. Wow. But if you're just getting started, you know, I've seen a lot of people take their phones and like do the whole selfie thing, mostly vertical. There's a better trick, it goes sideways with it. But you can actually hook these wireless Go's into your phone. So you get that clean audio. You can, you know, have somebody else hold the phone or have your phone on a tripod, you know, and you can back up because it's wireless. You get a really decent length from these things. So just, you know, make sure your audio sounds good, most importantly, and really, if you need to practice before you publish anything, the great thing about your phone, which, by the way, this is the best camera you can possibly have, is the one in your pocket. You don't need to go buy another one. What I would do is just practice. Like hit record. You don't have to share it with anybody, but like try to have like a message that you want to share with people, and just record a few times. Like get used to it. It's kind of like public speaking. You know, if you've never spoken public before in front of a large audience, or anyone for that matter, soon as you get on the stage, there's this thing called stage fright, and that's where you just lock up and you're just like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's funny because when you're out meeting people at maybe a networking event or talking to your friends, like, you know, we don't think about that because like we're used to it. We're comfortable with that usually. Right. So, you know, to get over the stage fright, and this is like me coming from a music background where I used to perform a lot, you just have to do it. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And like, there's also a mantra, and I think Billie Jean told me this, be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
That's huge. That's so a big takeaway. And, you know, Chris, it's funny because one of the things that we all do it, I've done it. I've watched Kristen do it. Sorry, Kristen. I've watched so many people do this. We're on videos and we're looking down and like, what's Chris Stone have to say? What does our guest have to say? So I'm looking at my screen right now. All you're seeing is the top of my head. But like looking into the camera, this is a big thing too, a huge takeaway. When you're doing your video, don't look at what you look like because that's going to record anyways. You'll be able to see it later. Look into the eye of that camera because it's giving that intimate, you're literally looking directly at the person and you're building like an immediate bond, instant trust, rapport, likability. All of that happens through looking directly into the lens. And I learned that at a mastermind. I had no idea to do that because I'd look at my phone and be up here. I'd be looking down somewhere else, and it doesn't show up the same.
The only time I looked down was to see the microphone that Chris was talking about, the little clip-on thing, because I wanted to see it. But Matt, no, you got me out of that habit. You know, it's like you look like you're dissociated or you're doing something else rather than like being in the moment. So yeah, I agree.
And it's funny because it's little things like that we just don't even think about when we're shooting these videos. But so, I mean, as far as you know, as far as someone who's looking to just, you said to break into a different marketplace, one of the things that you can do is, of course, you know, go out, make sure that you have some decent equipment. The Rode microphone's under 200. iPhones generally are going to shoot really good videos. So with that being said, I mean, I don't necessarily think there's a need to get a high-end professional camera, but there's one that we all use, the Logitech. The Logitech, I think it's the 1080p. We use this 920, and then there's a couple other ones. Well, Kristen, what were your
I would say what I've told people is when I have been seeing more realtors go live, just because that's, you know, mainly our group. I've seen more realtors go live lately, which is terrific. What I would say is, Chris, would you recommend, like, just so it's a little smoother and it doesn't look like kind of Blair Witch Project kind of running around with like tons of steps, would you recommend, like, if it's easier, a selfie stick or a gimbal? And gimbals, you need practice, but like, I think that's another thing that can add a lot, the professionalism, and keep it from looking so herky-jerky, kind of, you know,
Right.
horror show kind of thing. Because if it's real jerky like that, I think people get distracted with that too, and it like turns people off.
Totally.
Is there a way to smooth it out that's easy?
Yeah. I mean, especially if you don't have a camera crew or somebody to like act as your videographer,
Right.
you know, just get a tripod. I mean, you can go to Best Buy and buy like a full size tripod for, you know, 30 or 40 bucks. You can even get like one of those tripods that are like miniature that sit on your desk, and just kind of have it, you know, looking at you as close to eye level as possible. But either way, like, I don't recommend using a gimbal per se. That might be a little too advanced for some people, but just a tripod. That way, you know, there's no shakiness. And it, you know, you're right. Like, certain things can distract, like whatever's in your background can distract from the subject of the video. So yeah, just getting a tripod, having a steady shot, and then staying in frame. Like, you know, right here, I only have a little bit of headroom. My head's not cut off, Kristen.
Right, mine is, huh?
Yeah. Just give yourself a little bit of headroom, and you're fine.
That's great advice.
And nice. See, he improved it already. See,
bam.
Here we go.
I love the background too. Like, I have to get some more fun pictures on my background. I mean, I love that my name's back there, but you know, and I've got my best husband trophy. It's a Dundee trophy, which is pretty awesome, thanks to my wonderful wife. But I love that background, Kristen. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. It's been a while collecting it, and it's just a fraction, but yes, it's been a while. Yep.
I love it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So Chris, if someone wants to get a hold of you, and I know you have, I believe it's stonecraftmedia.com, is that correct?
That is correct.
Man, look at that, right on the top of my head. We didn't even we didn't even talk about it, so I love it. What I want to share with everybody that's on here is that prior to getting Chris, I mean, we have our own in-house video editor, we have a video strategist, and they are phenomenal. But the one thing that we needed that extra help with was getting an outside opinion, getting that strategy. One of the most pivotal things, I think, and the biggest takeaway I got from you, aside from the awesome editing skills, was just the strategy of it. Because again, when you're the business owner, you don't know your own blind spots. And sometimes you get so emotionally invested in what it is you're doing. And look, it doesn't matter if you're in an attorney, an insurance agent, loan officer. It doesn't matter if you're a nonprofit who's just starting to come up, a charity. You can use video in every element of the organization, but you need someone who's going to say, hey, this is your blind spot. This is what you have to work on. And that's where Chris is a very kind guy, but Chris won't bullshit you. He's going to tell you, like, hey, this is your blind spot. This is what you got to fix. I'll share with you a couple things you can do with your videos to acknowledge the blind spots, or to, at the very least, really almost call, like, because sometimes people are afraid to be vulnerable, which, Chris, I mean, you've we've talked about that, where people are just so afraid to be vulnerable on camera. They always want to make it look like it's the, everything is great, everything's amazing, but that vulnerability is what shows the human element. That's generally what gets people truly engaged. Would you agree with that, Chris?
Yeah. Yeah, just the last comment you made sort of reminds me about, like Sports Illustrated, a few years back, maybe a decade or so, where it was always like the models that were super thin, and more and more it's been like, well, no, all women don't look thin like a supermodel. What do they look like? Well, they're all different sizes, all different colors, complexions, everything. And we've seen this as a society, like push towards like, look, nobody's perfect. You're fine if you're a bigger woman or a bigger dude and you got a dad bod. That's okay. Like, you're fine if you are chiseled and like super buff and whatever. Either, like, it's okay both ways. And we've seen this like big push on just accepting people for who they are, right? Imperfections and all, because we're not supermodels. Kristen, you're not a supermodel, but I think that if you were to see an image of a supermodel woman next to just a regular, mom or something, you know what I mean? Just a regular woman, I think you would relate more. And the same goes for everybody. You would relate more to the regular person than you would the supermodel.
And it's funny because there was a guy that's so impactful, because there was a guy, he had I think it's called a hair lip, I believe is what it is. This was like in the 70s. He was an announcer, I believe. You know who I'm talking about?
No, it's a cleft palate. Yeah. It's the mouth. Yeah. Yeah.
And he was an announcer, and he was so polarizing. People would, and I mean, he even spoke with a lisp, but there was this affinity, because there's surface level affinity and then there's deep affinity. And really, that's just a fancy word for, I think affinity is a fancy word, but it's a fancy word for, well, okay, so I see the clothes you wear. I see the way that you carry yourself. I see kind of your external appearance. So that's that surface level affinity. But the deep affinity is when you make a connection with that person on an emotional level, where they're all of a sudden, they're totally bought into you, and they don't just want to just listen to you. They want to be around you. They want to do business with you. And I mean, with this gentleman I can't remember what team he was an announcer for, and it's going to drive me nuts, and I'm going to remember it a couple of hours later, but he was so captivating that people look past that. And of course, back in those times, look, I'm just going to say it was a less accepting time. I feel like people have a higher level of acceptance today. So with all that being said, he still drew in that crowd. He still brought those people in, and people were still totally enamored by this guy. So it's pretty crazy. Well, so I'm going to, just for everyone that's watching, I want to put this across the screen here again, because I thought I had it across the screen, but I guess I didn't. So, but if anybody wants to work with Chris, we also have it in the comments, but it is www.stonecraftmedia.com. And you can go ahead and there it is. www.stonecraftmedia.com. Chris is not just doing editing. He also will give you a strategy. He'll go through what you should talk about, how to eliminate some of the challenges that you have, and ultimately he's going to be able to help you really expose your blind spots. Chris, if there was one thing that you wanted to just drop onto everybody as either an actionable item, a takeaway, something that just leaves everybody wanting a little bit more, what would you leave them with?
Yeah, that's a good question. How about this? This like hit me super heavy when one of my mentors dropped it on me. So that is, as human beings, we exist in this physical realm that's got limitations, and that's like limitations on time, limitations on geographical presence. And we can't, like, as humans, be in two places at once doing two totally different things. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know that sometimes, especially us who are like really on a mission, we're just trying to go. It's almost like sometimes we wish we had a clone of ourselves so we could double the productivity that, you know, we need to get out of our business and what we're doing. So one thing I want to leave everybody with is that don't think of video as just a marketing or just an advertising tool, because, you know, it's like what I told you guys at the beginning. Like, this is what I did for these people who weren't in business, and look at what happened, right? Video is so much more. It is a tool, but in the wrong hands, it can be detrimental to your business. As great as video is to help grow businesses and streamline processes and things like that, you know, one wrong video and, you know, your whole business could be done for, right? And this doesn't even have to be something that, like, you know, internally is made for the business. This could be an angry customer,
Right,
making a video, and all of a sudden it's just, because video spreads like wildfire.
It does.
So, you know, just understanding the power of video, that it is a good and bad thing. It's almost like the Force. Like, I'm a Star Wars junkie. So I look at, like, coming into this fold as like a Jedi. Like, I'm here to help. And because, I'll tie this back into the physical and time limitations. Video, what I've managed to do and what I've managed to learn from my mentors and people who are like way ahead of where I am at. But I've learned that for a business owner who wants to, you know, maybe find more efficient ways to conduct different tasks and duties within the business. Everybody's always looking for software to automate things. Guess what? You know, if I'm talking to somebody, like, I've got my own built-in process. That's, you know, when you go to the website, there's a button, apply for your video strategy session.
Right.
So with that, like, it's like, I'm not getting into this thing to, like, sell you on video. I'm getting into, like, help you understand. And, like, I'm looking at, like, holes in your business where we could just automate things with video that would save so much time. You know what I mean? It's not about making money. So it's, you know, it would be about saving time. So just think of video as a business's ultimate business asset, right? And, you know, if there's like, Matt, I know we talked about doing video ads, but, you know, we did, when we were in Nashville, we recorded a video business card.
Right.
But I don't think you had ever sat there and thought, like, oh, I need a video business card. It was more, you know, sort of like, okay, what are you doing in your business? And we had that discussion. And then, do you remember, like, you did have an epiphany? Do you remember what that was when we were talking about that?
No, I don't.
Okay. So like with the video business card, because we had already been doing the video ads. And I was like, okay, that's good, you know, if you're trying to accomplish this. But, you know, what about a video that in 2 minutes people get to know you? Yeah, they get to know you. They make that connection. And within 2 minutes, you know, the message is powerful enough that people go from not knowing who you are to knowing who you are and wanting to have a conversation with you about your services.
It's huge. Yes. And it's funny because looking back at it, I remember how obsessed I was with, no, we need video ads. We need video ads. I was trying to play the offense when really you were like, well, you have to start with the defense. And you know, and when people think of defense, like, the defense is, I don't know this person. So what you're doing is you're taking a common objection, a common misconception, and a common feeling, and you're literally just putting that feeling out into the forefront and saying, well, now you are going to know who I am, because you'll be able to know about me, you'll be able to learn about me, you'll know my story, and you'll know what I do, and you'll know it in 2 minutes or less, which is awesome. So yes, and that was a big epiphany, because the focus was just push ads, get some ads out, get some creative, get some good stuff out to, all of our people. And one thing too that you touched on, but I just wanted to piggyback, is with video, it's amazing for training. I can't tell you how many times we offer, for everyone that's on and that's watched and followed us, we're an inside sales company. So we offer inside sales solutions. We do it for pretty much any business that you have. We specialize in realty and loan officers, but we can essentially do it for anyone who has needs. Now, with that being said, a lot of times what most agents, and not even just agents, just a lot of business owners fail to realize is that if you were to just sit down and record your process, whatever your process is, whether you're hiring a transaction coordinator, whether you're hiring a marketing assistant, a sales representative, I mean, hell, Kristen, how many videos? You probably watched a couple gigabytes of videos from me training on the sales process, training on the learning the ins and outs of the system. Now, if I had to do that myself, I would have had to spend 70, 80, 90 hours. Who has that? Most people don't. So instead, I cut that down to 5 hours, 6 hours. I only had to spend 4, 5, 6 hours a week on the phone training and going through Zoom calls and things like that, opposed to having to sit there with you the entire time. So that video element is crucial. It's critical. It'll save you time. It'll make you money. And that's why you should go to stonecraftmedia.com.
Yeah.
Chris
yeah,
is awesome. Yeah.
We're here to help, guys. I mean, I know, some of you have worked with video professionals before. Some of you are more like, we've got our, in-house marketing team. We'll just figure out how to do video. It can't be that hard. Or you do it yourself. But we're here to help. And it doesn't matter, what your situation is, whether you're doing video yourself, or you're a video professional, or you've got a team that is creating content for you. We will sit down and we'll do anything from consultation to, and basically team training to help them, like your team, if you have one, understand like how they should go about making video and what they should be thinking about. And the same thing for like one-on-one, if you're the one that's creating your own content. We do consultations all the way up to full strategy conception, full service video production, and even implementation and distribution afterwards. So this could be running ads or just getting the video put in places where they need to go online. We do it all. That's what we specialize in. And
I love it. It's awesome. Well, and we have.
Add real quick. Sorry. The thing about Chris's videos is that they get people to convert and pay attention. Anybody can make a video, and it's a big, it's a snooze fest, doesn't really get them anywhere. And then people are like, oh yeah, that could have been really cool. Chris's videos are really cool. They're captivating. They send a message. They get people to perform the call of action that you want them to. That's the difference. Anybody can make video. He, through Billie Jean, has learned how to strategize the video to move them along in the process. That's a big difference between what Chris does and what other companies do, to be very honest.
And he helped me.
I appreciate that.
He helped me get out of my own. He helped me to get out of my own way and get out of my own head, because I've always thought that, for me, one of my personality traits is I usually can make people laugh pretty easily. And I could say pretty outlandish things and do certain things. And I'm like, do I really want to put that image out there? And then after talking to Chris, it's like, of course you do, because you want to work with people that are just like you. You want to work with people that are easygoing. You want to work with people that are, that have a similar personality trait. And when you're working with people that aren't in alignment with that, it ultimately makes it challenging. So if you're putting out something that's not the authentic, true version of you, it can really put you in a bad spot in terms of being in alignment with your audience. And I know that's totally, I mean, it's still on topic with video, but it just was something I was thinking about. One of the big takeaways that I had working with you, because if, for example, if you're an auto mechanic and you're selling, car auto services, and instead of being in your auto mechanic outfit, you're in a suit and a tie and you're, it's some fancy place that's not in alignment with who you are. And by the way, I love auto mechanics. I went to school for it. I mean, but again, that's not your person. You're not going to try to be someone that's out wearing a suit and tie and trying to, you're going to be talking to the wrong audience. You want to talk to the right audience. And I mean, that's just your general consumer. Be you. Don't be someone that's a fake version. And Stephanie used to make fun of me for it. And I'm so thankful that she did. And she was nice about it. But she's like, stop using your broadcaster media voice. Cause I'd be like, hello, this is Matt Milia reporting. And she's like, you're an idiot. Stop it. And I'm like, thank you. I'm like, I appreciate you, because my feelings don't get hurt with that. I'd rather you tell me, be honest. Like, I love it. I don't want to have that, like how I would talk to Kristen, I talk to Chris without being on the phone. Same way you talk on camera, but sometimes we try to put on this bullshit persona, and it's like, it's not authentic. It's not genuine. So it's got to come through authentic and genuine. Can
smell it too, kind of, especially people that know you. If they see that video, think about it, Matt. They see that video and they're like, that's not Matt Milia. I know Matt Milia. I was at an event with him last week. What the hell is that? So that's kind of the thing. If you're just yourself and people go, that's Matt, that's Matt, that's our Matt. Now you've got like, you're consistent, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on this dialogue here, it's 2020, and we have, like, anybody watching this video, we've been online since like 2000, maybe a little before if you had AOL and dial-up, but we're all pretty accustomed to the internet right now. But the strange thing that's happened is, like, a lot of people used to be very trusting. And then we got marketed to and saw all these ads just beat into our skulls. Okay.
Yep.
So as technology has gotten more advanced, humans have gotten more skeptic. Okay. So skepticism is at an all-time high. And here's the thing, guys, if you're watching this, I do not want you to, I'm just a guy on the internet. Matt is just a guy on the internet. So, and Kristen's just a lady on the internet. So, don't believe what we're telling you. Go and just observe and think for yourself about your situation. And then, if what we're saying resonates with you, we can have a conversation. Like, I'm not a pushy salesperson, and I even tell people, like, do not pay for any services that we offer just because we, show you a strategy that, you agree with. Like, only pursue our services if you truly deep down inside believe that it's actually going to help you.
I feel like if I had a microphone, I would drop it right now. But I mean, that's spot on. And I feel the same way. And it's funny. Kristen, what were we talking about before Chris jumped on? We were talking about how you tell people almost immediately, like, hey, listen, this isn't going to be some sort of pushy call. Because even though we're an inside sales contact center, I even train my people, my guys, that when they're making calls, they're not pushy sales people. I mean, sure, they're sort of. But they're using more of a genuine curiosity, and really they're being interested. They're not being interesting, and that's with anything that you do, whether it's video, whether it's marketing, whether it's anything at all. You have to think about people's favorite radio station, which is WIIFM, What's in It for Me Radio. And if you know that, you'll know how to speak to that audience. And Stephanie put in here, mic drop. So I love it.
The mic drop, boom.
Well, guys.
People are used I'm sorry, any sort of. I'm sorry, Matt. Real quick, if anybody's used to phone sales, they're just expecting us to be pushy and being manipulative and trying to paint them into a corner all the time. And when you don't do that and you're honest and say, that's not what we're here for, we're here to find out about you to see if we can actually help, the defenses come down immediately. They're like, oh, I called it out right away.
Right. And there's nothing worse than trying to push the wrong person or the wrong product, or like, that's a horrible feeling. And I've watched people, because if you chase after the almighty dollar, I mean, look, yes, my Facebook ad has me trying to catch dollar bills. It's to stop the scroll. And it was hard as hell. I mean, I was trying, like, we had to shut the camera off because I started sweating. I mean, it's just, you know, and I'm Italian, I sweat, it's just how it goes. But I'm like, oh my God, I'm sweating. Like, I had to shut off. I'm like, shut the camera off. Like, I had to like go in between keys, make sure to throw the window open. I'm like, man, like, this is a tough life. But at the end of the day, it's like, you watch me trying to catch these dollars, and it's like, it's entertaining, it's engaging, and then at the same time, it was hard to do. So my point for sharing that is that don't do that in real life. Don't be trying to just catch dollars. Don't chase after money when it comes to your business. And whether you're just getting started, because I get it. When you first get started, man, it's so tempting to just say, oh, you've got a credit card. You can afford me. Let's work together. If who you're in alignment with isn't the right alignment, it will show up in every element of your life. It will show up in your health. It'll show up in your mental space. It will show up in every area of your life. So, and again, I know I'm kind of tying that into video, but it's a huge takeaway. It's something that I have to remind myself all the time, because I'm a very motivated individual and I'm driven, but my goals aren't necessarily built around some sort of just a monetary gain where, you know, I'll be happy when I'm at this. It's being able to add value to the world, being able to be myself, but also at the same time, being able to work with like-minded people that have the same objective and the same mission. How do you do that? You do it through video. So there we go.
Yep.
I love it.
Guys, I appreciate you all. It was awesome. I think everyone who watched, I believe, got a ton of value. We gave a lot of actionable stuff. And again, if you guys want to get a hold of Chris, you can go to stonecraftmedia.com. And then, of course, too, if anybody wants to DM me afterwards, and I have a couple of other videos that Chris has done, I'd be happy to share with you so you can take a look. And I am one of Chris's biggest raving fans. So Chris, thank you. Thank you for jumping on. Kristen, as always, thank you. And guys, we'll see everybody next week. Same time, same place.